back, everybody. So in problem 1, it says there are 42 cats and 49 dogs in a pet store. And so what is the ratio of cats to dogs? So we would write 42 to 49. However, the question is, what can we divide out of both of those? Well, we can divide out a 7. And so when we do that, 42 divided by 7 is 6, and 49 divided by 7 is 7. So that ratio is 6 to 7. Now in number 2, Samantha, Larry, and Maria own shares of stock in the Plentiful Peanuts Company. Samantha owns 50 shares, Larry owns 30, and Maria owns 70. So if we add these three together, 70 plus 30 plus 50, there's 150 shares overall. Now it says today the value of one share of Plentiful Peanut stock is $4.05. So what is the total value combined of Samantha's, Larry's, and Maria's shares? Well, we already said that there are 150 shares in total. So we take 150 and we multiply by 4.05. So 150 divided by 4.05, and that gives us 607.5. Now if you just cover up the 0.05, it's 150 times 4. Now if that's hard to do in your head, just cover the 0. 15 times 4 is 60. Put the 0 back at 600. Now the 0.05 means it's going to be a little bit bigger. So just knowing that, we can cross off these 3. Number 3, Simon ordered graduation announcements from Announcements and Notes. He was charged $35 and was charged 8% of that amount for shipping. So how much was he charged for announcements and for shipping? Well, the announcements, we know, that's $35. However, shipping was 8% of $35. So we're going to take 35 and multiply by 8%, which is 0.08. And 35 times 0.08 is 2.8. So when we combine those, 35 plus 2.8 is $37.80. Now one shortcut that might save you a little bit of time is to remember that since we want the announcements plus 8% more, you can just take 35 and multiply by 1.08. And that right there will not only find 8%, but will also add in the original price. So this also will give you $37.80. So just another way to do that problem. Number 4, on a certain day in 2008, the population of the United States was estimated to be 303,488,509. So which of the following values is closest to this estimate? And so this is a scientific notation problem. And so the idea is, well, we put a decimal point right after there. So it's 3 point something. Now in all of these, they're rounding it to 2 places. So we pretty much cover up all these other numbers and say, well, it should be 3.03, right? Well, look at this one. Look at the decimal point after that. It's a 4. And so that means if it's 0 to 4, we keep the number as is. If it's 5 or higher, we round that last digit up. But since it's a 4, we keep it at 3.03. So we can automatically get rid of that answer and get rid of that answer. So now what we do is we say, well, how many places from here do we have to move the decimal? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that means this is 3.03 times 10 to the 8th power. Number 5, we want to find the value of this expression. Now it's a little tough because we have fractions within fractions. But let's just cover up the denominator and work with the numerator. 7 plus 1/5. That's the same as 35 over 5 plus 1 over 5. Because if you divide 35 by 5, you get back to 7. Why do we do that? Because we need a common denominator. And so when we add these together, we get 36 over 5. Down here, on the bottom, we do the same thing. 10 over 10 plus 1 over 10 equals 11 over 10. And so we're taking this fraction and dividing by this fraction. But in reality, what we're doing, instead of dividing two fractions, instead what we always say is, don't divide fractions, you multiply by the reciprocal. So instead of this divided by that, we take 36 over 5 times 10 over, that should be an 11 down there. Now, what can we cancel? Let's see. Well, we can cancel a 5 out of here, so we're left with a 1 and a 2. And that's about all we can cancel. 36 and 11 have nothing in common because 11 is prime. So we have 72 over 11. So how many times can we divide 72 by 11? Well, that's 66 over 11 plus, and how much is left over? 6 over 11. Now 66 over 11 is 6 plus 6 over 11. And so you get that answer. Now if you wanted to do the calculator approach, it is faster, but the thing you have to remember is you got to watch your parentheses, because you have to put this in parentheses, because otherwise the calculator won't understand what's the numerator. And same goes for the denominator. And so you get 6 point and some decimal. And just from there you can eliminate every other answer. Had they given you 6 and another fraction, then you'd have to work a little more. But this problem is really given to you as a quick calculator exercise. Number 6. They tell us that x is divisible by 6, but they don't tell us what x is. Well, that means x could be 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, and so on. And they tell us that y is divisible by 10. So that means y could be 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, and so on. So what would xy be? Well, let's just use these examples. Xy would be 60. 12 times 20 is 120. 18 times 30 is 540. 24 times 40 is 960. 30 times 50 is 1,500. Now, the question is, which of the following whole numbers is not a factor of each product? So which of these numbers here can we not divide and get a whole number? And so if we try, let's see, 2, yep, all these are even, so that's not an answer. 6, let's see, 60, 240, yeah, we can divide all these by 6. 8, now here's where we run into trouble, because we can't divide 8 out of everything here. And so that is our answer. No matter what number we pick for x, no matter what number we pick for y, we are not always going to be able to divide by 8. Can we do it sometimes? Yes, sometimes we can, but not in all cases. Because you can divide 8 by all of these numbers up here, but not by this one. And in order for this to be a factor, it has to be a factor in all cases, not just some. Number 7. Here we want the absolute value of 6 minus 4. Well, that's going to be 2. And then from that we subtract and we say the absolute value of 3 minus 9. Well, 3 minus 9 is negative 6. But the absolute value of that is positive 6. So then 2 minus 6 is going to be negative 4, because we already took away the absolute values. So that's how we get negative 4. Last one. They tell us that x and 7 minus x over 2 are integers. Now the key thing to remember is this tells us something, not really this. All this tells us is that x is an integer. Fine. But this also has to be an integer. And so if we're dividing by 2, then that means that this up top has to be even. Because if this weren't an even number, then we would get a decimal, which isn't an integer. And so what must be true about x in order for this to be even? Well, in order for this to be even, this one has to be odd. Because an odd number minus an odd number is going to be an even number. Didn't say anything about positive, doesn't say anything about negative, because integers could be positive or they could be negative. So, in this problem, x must be odd. Thanks for watching, everyone. We'll see you tomorrow.